They said they were going to laugh. They said it as if it were a joke already written, as if the ending had been decided before it began. The new girl stood at the edge of the training yard, hands calm at her sides, eyes steady, while a row of officers watched her with smiles that carried no warmth at all. Asterisk, what city are you watching from today? If this story resonated with you, hit subscribe for more real stories about extraordinary people. She did not argue. She did not beg. She only looked at the gate behind her, the one marked with warning signs about trained dogs, and then back at the men who believed fear would break her faster than words ever could. This story is about a woman judged by her silence and underestimated by her calm. Her name was Elena Ward, and she had arrived at the base 3 days earlier with nothing that announced who she truly was. No decorations on her uniform that drew attention. No stories volunteered in the mess hall. She ate, she trained, she listened. To some, that quiet made her invisible. To others, it made her an easy target. The base prided itself on toughness. It was a place where mistakes were remembered and weakness was hunted. The officers who ran the canine unit were respected and feared, not only for their rank, but for the animals under their command. The dogs were disciplined, powerful, and loyal only to those who knew how to speak their language. Elena noticed things others miss. The way the dogs watch hands before faces. The way a handler's breathing changed a dog's posture. The subtle difference between control and domination. She noticed because she had spent years learning those details, long before she ever wore this uniform, but no one asked her about that. Instead, they whispered that she was too small for this base, that she looked like she belonged behind a desk, that her quiet was an act, and acts did not last long here. One officer in particular, Captain Rourke, took special interest in her. He had built his reputation on breaking recruits who challenged his authority, and Elena's calm felt like a challenge, even when she said nothing at all. During a morning briefing, Rourke watched her closely. When she answered a question, her voice was clear and respectful. No fear, no edge, just facts. A few officers exchanged glances. Calm like that made people uncomfortable. By afternoon, the whispers turned into plans. The canine training yard sat at the far edge of the base, fenced and isolated. It was where mistakes could be disguised as lessons and cruelty could be framed as discipline. Rourke ordered Elena there under the pretense of an evaluation. She followed without protest, boots steady on the gravel path. A small group of officers gathered near the gate. Their expressions carried anticipation, the kind that comes when people believe they are about to prove a point. Rourke addressed her with a thin smile. "You think you are ready for this base," he said. "Let us see how you handle pressure." Behind the gate, several dogs moved with restless energy, trained, powerful, focused. Their eyes tracked motion, not emotion. Elena felt her pulse slow, not quicken. This was familiar territory, even if the setting was new. Rourke leaned closer to the others and spoke loudly enough for her to hear. "We are going to laugh," he said. "This will be quick." The gate opened. They expected panic. They expected her to run, to freeze, to scream. They expected the dogs to do what they were trained to do when uncertainty entered their space. What they did not expect was stillness. Elena stepped forward, not back. Her posture changed in a way only someone experienced would notice. Shoulders relaxed. Weight balanced. Hands visible, but not tense. She did not stare at the dogs, and she did not avoid their gaze either. She acknowledged them. The dogs slowed. A murmur moved through the officers. Rourke frowned, sensing something shift that he did not understand. He gestured sharply, signaling the handlers to hold position. The dogs continued to watch Elena, their bodies alert but no longer surging forward. Elena spoke then, her voice low and steady, not raised, not rushed. Stand. It was not shouted. It was not forced. It was a command shaped by timing and trust. The dogs stopped. Silence fell over the yard, heavy and undeniable. One of the officers took an unconscious step back. Another swallowed hard. Rourke's smile vanished, replaced by disbelief. Elena walked closer, her steps measured. She addressed the dogs again, using words that were not common commands, phrases woven with tone rather than volume. The animals responded as if they recognized her, as if her presence made sense to them in a way nothing else had that day. Rourke demanded to know what she thought she was doing. His voice cracked with anger, but it carried something else now. Fear-daughter Elena turned to face him for the first time since entering the yard. "I am doing what I have been trained to do," she said. "And what you failed to ask about." She reached into her jacket and produced identification that had remained unseen until that moment. Credentials that spoke louder than rank insignia. Years of service as a senior canine behavior specialist. Field deployments where dogs and humans depended on each other for survival. Commendations earned not through force, but through understanding. The officers stared, their laughter forgotten. Replaced by a dawning realization of their mistake, Rourke tried to recover his authority, but it slipped through his fingers. The yard no longer belonged to him. It belonged to the woman who stood calmly among the dogs, who had shown control without cruelty and strength without noise. Elena turned back to the animals, gave a final gentle command, and they obeyed instantly, returning to their handlers with disciplined ease. No chaos, no harm, just order. She faced the officers again. "You assumed fear would teach me something," she said. "But fear only reveals who lacks control." No one argued. There was nothing left to say. In the days that followed, the base changed its tone toward her. Respect replaced mockery. Questions replaced whispers. Some officers apologized. Others avoided her altogether. Rourke was reassigned soon after, his methods finally examined under a light he could not escape. Elena did not celebrate. She returned to her routine, just as quiet as before. But now, when she walked past the canine yard, the dogs watched her with recognition, and the handlers watched her with something close to awe. She had not raised her voice. She had not struck back. She had simply stood in her truth and let it speak for itself. The lesson traveled faster than any rumor ever had. Strength does not always announce itself. Sometimes it waits, patient and steady, until it is forced into the open. And when it is, there is no laughter left. What did this story make you feel? Where are you watching from? Subscribe to Soul Relief Stories for more real stories that heal the heart.